I'm Barry Funkhouser, and this is the Barry Funkhouser Show. Well, it's the end of the week, so we're bringing on another friend of the Barry Funkhouser Show. Please welcome the Radio Realtor, Don James is on the program.
All right,
Good
Don.
morning. How you guys doing?
We're
happy
excellent.
It's Friday, man.
Oh, for
Yes.
sure.
As always, I'm also here with my co-host and general know-it-all, current events guy, Joe. Joe, Jeff,
hey, that's me.
man.
Like I told you at the beginning of the week, we are shutting down my game platform, so it's been kind of a bittersweet week for me. I had to redo my LinkedIn and I had to update my resume, and we all know how much fun that is. Oh my gosh, I forgot how much fun it was going through and being like, how can I make myself sound cool and professional at the same time? So we'll see. It's been a week. It's been a week. I'm happy it's February. Is that something?
Okay. Yeah. All these groundhogs saw their shadows, and we got
more
going
winter.
down.
Yay, great.
I wonder how that affects the Radio Realtor. Let's get into the life. The people that don't even know who Don James, the Radio Realtor, is. So Don James, you're from Orange County, is that right?
No, I'm originally from Chicago. So,
where in Chicago?
Southwest side. I grew up near Midway Airport, then lived on the west side for a little bit, then moved to a town called Cicero, which is known for Al Capone and all sorts of things you can get away with if you know the cops or have money. And then, moved down to Atlanta. I moved down to Gainesville, Florida for a year, and then to Atlanta for about 5 years. And then I've been out here for quite some time.
Why were you in Gainesville? I got to ask.
Yeah,
I was going to school. Was going to go to school. I was going to become a sports medicine guy, and I wanted to go to the 1988 Olympics, and somehow be involved that way. That didn't quite work out. Ended up getting a gig at the Ritz-Carlton through that, and moved to Atlanta. Ooh. And then actually while I was in Atlanta, guys, that's when I made the trek to the local Columbia School of Broadcasting.
That's my question.
Nice. that was a very, very nice little who was that? That was Casey was that your Casey Kasem?
You know what? First of all, people tell me I sound like him, but he's Lebanese, as I am partly too. And I have a cousin, Jim Shab. My government name is Shab. He's down in Orange County. He was the first AirTouch cellular agent in the 1980s. Everybody that bought a phone, an Orange County phone, through AirTouch cellular in the 1980s, he made overrides on that. And Casey Kasem was taken in by Jim's father. When Casey was getting started, they owned the Anaheim Hotel. And so Danny Thomas, any Lebanese person that came to Southern California to become stars, that's how they got it. They got introduced to the family, and the family did whatever they could to help open doors for them. Pretty cool.
That's so cool.
It is really so cool. So I met Casey before he died.
Wow. Oh, man, I'm jealous. I'm jealous. I know you Barry, you met Casey, right?
Yeah, but I'm kind of more interested in the Columbia School of Broadcasting.
I know you are.
You know what happened to that whole thing, right?
All right. So here's what happened.
Sitting there.
Yeah, and this is before I got any kind of degree or anything else and all that stuff. But so it was in Atlanta, and they had a few of those, I guess, places, and you pay for it and all that stuff. But back then it would be like they would set you up for, hey, this is your expectations. You get through this school, you might be in Keokuk, Iowa, sometime next month or whatever. And it starts like that. And I'm thinking, it sounded kind of hokey. Obviously, no technology really compared to what we have now. And so when you're listening to these commercials, it sounds like you'd be driving on a remote I-70 freeway through Kansas or something, right? And listening to the Farm Report or something. So never did anything at that moment beyond that besides going to DeKalb College and taking some local, some general ed classes, but kind of geared myself towards a communication degree, which I finished once I moved out here, got married, and I finished at Cal State Los Angeles, the poor man's USC, I like to call it. So in the media field there, Rocky Balboa. I mean, Sylvester Stallone would go down to talk to people at SC. We get Frankie Stallone. So, but still, the teachings were good. The teachings are good. And,
they taught you well too, because you're very good at that whole communications angle. You're very
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. At that time, I lived in Mission Viejo. I drove up to Cal State LA. I had four classes. I worked in Santa Fe Springs in disaster recovery, which is like 24 hours a day. I made the dean's list. I had straight A's. And just before I graduated, so that last semester, four classes, living in Mission Viejo, driving up to Cal State LA, made the Dean's List, National Honor Society. I was very proud of that, and I was 36 years old when I did that.
Crazy, but man, that is a drive. I grew up in Fullerton.
Right.
I know Orange County and Los Angeles pretty well.
Right.
And I had a bunch of friends that lived in Mission Viejo. I would always take the canyon over, right?
Yep. Right.
But man, that drive must have been at least, I mean, even back then, at least an hour each way.
Yep.
Oh,
but I wanted to get my degree. And it's crazy. Like when I was in grade school, I was doing college math in fourth grade. I mean, and it just came so easy to me. But I was kind of like, not a mean. I was just a class clown. I like to have fun, so I would get done. I hardly ever took any homework home throughout every up to end of high school. I took some homework home, but barely any. I would always finish in class, and I enjoyed it. But I'm a social individual, so I get great grades, and then I used to get $1 for every E or A that I would get. E for excellent, A for whatever, and then but I'd also get a week in the house when I was in grade school if it disturbs other kids, talks too much in class, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was that guy too.
You'd think I'd save my money, but But anyway, so no, it was some good times. But anyway, I'm here.
Well, now you're here and you're in the real estate business, which is like the smartest move ever, I think. How did you get into that?
So, all right. And actually there's a radio connection here. So get this.
Joe, see, you were right after all. Dang it.
I told you.
So I got married, right? And got a divorce. And I was getting close to 50 years old. And it was, without going into the details, it wasn't a good thing. And I was also trying to start a business that was called NetStop Express. And basically what it was is we'd offer wireless internet and a free kiosk to walk up to. So if this is before smartphones came out, so you could walk up and, and check something out, or, finish a bet in a bar. Hey, this guy did so-and-so. And it would be sponsored by people that the ads that I would run on a screen that was above the kiosk. And I had a couple kiosks in Mission Viejo Mall, and had a couple in Laguna Hills Mall, Long Beach Airport. So I went to KSBR, Barry, and I went to them and I said, look, hey, I'd like to put your KSBR signage on my screens. Excuse me. And they said, well, we'd love to help you, Don, but we're a nonprofit. So what we could do is we could do a commercial for you on our station and run it on. So that's where I met DJ Thornton, who was a host of a very popular program called The Morning Breeze. I'm trying to get Mookie to let me do something like that. I would crush it.
Oh yeah.
But anyway,
so it was jazz. Was it jazz back then?
Jazz was the primary format, but The Morning Breeze was new age. All the artists live up in the San Fernando Valley. They used to drive down to Mission Viejo. They were excellent. And so some really cool stuff, not just elevator music, some really good music. And she says, you got a nice voice. What are you doing? And I said, kind of letting her know what's going on in my world. And I said, I got a degree at Cal State LA in communications, radio, television, and film. She goes, well, would you like to be on the show? And I said, what do you mean? She goes, well, you come in from like 5 to 7 in the morning on Sunday morning. And that show used to air from 5 till noon, Barry. So it's a long show. But you got to go back to school at Saddleback, and they have a really good, just like KCSN, they have a really good radio program. So,
you had to be a student to be on the air.
So, well, initially, I went to the class, met a bunch of cool people that have jobs in local LA radio. Kelly J, Nick Pelly, There's a bunch of guys, bunch of people. But anyway, so I did that, passed it in 6 months. I had to do my radio, my air check. And so there I was, voice tracking 5 to 7 on Sunday mornings. And then it just continued to move on. And I sat in for her. And then I started doing jazz shifts. Then I did a show called The Session, which was a precursor to the Late Night Lounge and now the Laguna Lounge in Laguna. And so I kind of kept in that just off mainstream music, but it kind of flows real cool. It's got a chill out vibe. And so that's what got me started. So get this. So now it connects to real estate. So like I said, bad times for me at that time. And I'm in my 50s and I'm not, I'm not a viable candidate for work, right? At least that's what I'm thinking, right? So I go to the Saddleback Career Counselor and I'm thinking, I've been doing this for 4 years, man, what's out there? Can you help me? So he says, Don, look at my watch. We've been here for 2 hours. We went through my lunch. Of course I would hire you. He says, I've got 2 opportunities for you. One is Clear Channel in LA. And this is when I lived down here in Dana Point. And I'm like, well, that's about an 85-mile drive. And I had this whole beat up van. And I'm thinking, don't burn a bridge here. I don't think I don't have reliable transportation. I know they're going to want me on the road. And that would be to sell advertising, not to be on air. And he said, well, we got this other company. It's called Fizber. And it's a for sale by owner platform, an online platform. It's a startup company, but I've done research on them, and they're owned by another company that's I've got a whole bunch of financial and real estate related firms, and they are solid. And the good thing about this is, Don, if they hire you and it doesn't make it, they'll probably put you somewhere else. And the big thing for me was it was like 10 minutes away, no highway driving. Even my beat up van could make it to work. So I said, I'll take it.
So hold on a second. So you're saying to me that there was a job that definitely had an expiration date. Definitely. Well, probably. But the caveat was like they'll put you in a better place.
If that happened. So
okay.
So I end up getting hired. And I'm older than a CEO. I'm older than a president. I'm older than everybody. In fact, we talked about it in the meeting. And I said, look, finances aren't so good. The guy goes, Evan, he says, Don, we deal with people that lose maybe 2 or 3 times their fortune in the course of their life. This is nothing. You don't need to talk about it. We need to talk about, we like you. We're going to hire you. So that was kind of really cool. And what they did was they nurtured me. So we started a for sale by owner platform. So I've been in real estate basically for 10 years. And it was really good to get online kind of education because 98% of all home searches, where do they start? They start online, right? So I would talk to people about helping them getting their property sold. And then we moved into, we started another company called sold.com, which was beyond just for sale by owners. It was like Fizber 2.0, but it dealt with sellers, buyers, all sorts of different kind of companies. And as I was talking to these people and concierging them, consulting them, a lot of them would say, Don, are you going to be there at the meeting on Saturday? A listing appointment like in Connecticut? I'm going, no. Oh, well, we want you there. So all it did was it just kind of, it just made me feel more comfortable. I enjoyed the conversations. Again, you're not meeting these people, but you get into some pretty deep stuff and you get to find out real estate isn't all just about putting in an offer and all of a sudden it's accepted. A lot of them aren't, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of other different things that play in and everybody's credit and everybody's emotions and there's so many different things that come into play. I got to experience all that for about 8 years on the phone before I finally got my license. Right. And so when I got my license in California and I got married to a gal that's been in the business for 30 plus years, broker in about 5 or 6 different states, then we decided, well, hey, let's get your license. Let's get into real estate. But I was working full time. So I was kind of like a partial kind of realtor, which you need to be in it full bore if you're going to make something of it. And then all of a sudden Hawaii popped up. And this was cool. So a buddy of mine that, again, born and raised in Kauai, moved out to Orange County, met him at a place called Daily Sports Grill. He was a manager there.
Oh, yeah, Daily.
Yeah,
we used to go there all the time. Yeah.
Awesome. So
place.
His name was Jason. We played Golden Tee at 3 a.m. on a Monday night, and all that stuff. It was awesome. So anyway, so he goes, dude, I've been trying to get you to come out here for about 15 years. He goes, finally. He goes, and he's an assistant chief of Barking Sands Air Force Base, Naval Air Base. It's the southwest portion of Kauai. It's going to be a Star Force base in a year. So he says, man, he goes, I can get you a cottage right on the beach, $140 a day. And that's it. So at 3 nights, Venmoed him $420. And he had to take us. Yeah, I know. And it was so awesome. So that Saturday night we got married. We went to, we created a little party. It was not many people there. We tried getting married 3 different times during COVID in Rhode Island, here in Dana Point.
Oh, dude, this is recent. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. So anyway, with all that being said, I said, hey, he goes, dude, come on, I'll put you up. And I said, can you hook us up with a Hawaiian marriage? And so they had the guy there, the ukulele player and all that stuff. And we just did it. And Janet was so happy because it was so stress-free. And, we'll eventually have a big shindig sometime, but it was really cool. And then while we were out there, we start, we're looking, I had to get my license, and that's kind of why I stepped back from 88.5 last year. It was Hawaiian license, notary, all that stuff, full-time job, and radio was just too much. But anyway, so we saw that place and we love it and we feel really comfortable there. It's tough getting a rental, Joe. It really is.
I know.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people that fly that are Orange County owners in Kauai and other parts of Hawaii too. The thing that probably saved us, or at least got us further into Hawaii, was Southwest Airlines. Before they pooped the bed the other day, last week or last month, they $330, $270 $330 round trip air flights out of Long Beach. And
yeah, that's not bad at all.
No,
yeah,
not bad at all.
We just booked for our Maui trip in September, and every now and then we like to do Hawaiian just so we can get like that Hawaiian Airlines experience. Because, honestly, it's pretty cool. And so we splurged a little bit. Tickets were still like $900 round trip.
Oh,
so
wow.
Not terrible. Not the greatest round trip I've ever gotten, but not terrible. So the flights you were getting to Kauai those are awesome.
And it was during COVID, and I want to say something real quick. You were saying about the Hawaiian and about the culture and all that. The reason why a lot of Hawaiians are leaving the islands, a lot of it had to do with COVID. Because
really? Okay.
Because they couldn't work. So there's still places in Kauai that, it's been a year now, but things move slower there. There's still a lot of places that close early, or they don't have enough people to serve, for dinners and things like that. So there's a lot of shops that were closed. A lot of people initially moved to Oahu, and then some moved off the island. Right. And I'm guessing probably a lot of them moved to Las Vegas, Nevada. Here's the cool thing about watching Hawaii weather. In Hawaii, when you watch the weather, at least in Kauai, they have a guy that they shoot over to Vegas in in an affiliate station, and they give the Vegas weather. So, because I guess it's just kind of like a streamline from Honolulu to Las Vegas.
Las Vegas has the most Hawaiians. The largest Hawaiian population outside of the islands lives in Clark County. Makes Nevada.
Total sense. I've got a couple of friends that are Hawaiian that live up there, and like I said, when the first time I saw the weather guy, and I go, "What's this guy doing here in Vegas?" Well, for all you Hawaiians coming out. So anyway.
But people also want to see like what's the weather where my family's at, things like that. So I get that, but I wanted to bring up a point. We'll get into the stuff we talked about before we started recording in a little bit, but
okay.
I don't think a lot of people really understand like the makeup of the different islands in Hawaii and how everything outside of Oahu is pretty rural.
It is. So, before. Back in another part of my life, I was in disaster recovery. So I started out, with toilet overflows locally here in Orange County and LA County. And then after 20 years, you're being sent to Guam after a huge flood of medical documents, or to Puerto Rico after Hurricane George or whatever. So I used to go to all these kind of crazy places. I was a West Coast regional manager. So I had Hawaii in my territory. So for 5 years, I went out to Oahu about 18 times, Maui about 3 times, the Big Island a few times. And you could see, obviously, there's tons of differences. Not only is it a lot less, a more rural, as outside of Honolulu, but each island has its own kind of vibe as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're almost not, they still have the Hawaiian vibe, but they all have a different kind of feel to it. What I like about Kauai is that I still feel like it's chill, but you feel like there's enough people there. Maui just drove me nuts. It just seemed almost too quiet, and in certain areas just too many tourists. And in Oahu, here's the cool thing, guys. So my first trip out to Oahu, I had this was when I was working in disaster recovery. I'm sitting on a toilet talking to a real estate adjuster out of Denver, and it was a big high-rise fire. And we had some contractors we worked with, so they filled me in on everything. And this adjuster wanted to bring another company out, but I'm talking to him, like I said, sitting on the toilet, and I'm going through all the details and everything. He says, Don, he says, well, you guys have helped us with our CE classes, and I wanted to use this other company. But it sounds like you guys are dialed in. We're going to give you the job. So flew out there, was out there for 2 weeks. It was a high rise. They didn't have any sprinkler system. So the top 3 floors burned to the ground kind of, and we dried everything out, and they were still able to use the building. But while I was out there, I met the state risk manager, this gal named Pat Onogi, and she was so wonderful and so nice. And she took a liking to me. And one day I went over to her office, and she said, Don, come in here. I want to sit down for a minute. She goes, I want to tell you something. I've done some research on your company, and we were a specialized drying company. She says, I have in my desk, I have a bunch of cards, people that kind of do some of the stuff you do. And then they do more. They do contracting and all this stuff. She said, but I just want to let you know, you're in my Rolodex. And I said, okay. And I'm a sales manager, not a salesman. She says, do you know what that means? And I said, no, you're going to tell me, right? And she says, I trust you. She says, I know you're going to take care of my clients. I'm going to call you when the need comes up. And sure enough, 2 months later, Thanksgiving weekend, I'm on the Big Island at the University of Hawaii Hilo. They had 28 inches of rain. Their basketball floor flooded. It was about a $300,000 floor, and we were able to save it for like $27,000. And she was just tickled. And the next thing you know, I'm getting calls. But in Oahu, where that big fire was, I'm staying at the Sheraton Universal. And Sheraton, not Universal, Sheraton,
that's a long
Sheraton Waikiki. So, and it's a cool little hotel. It's across from the police station. Unfortunately, some of the night people hang out in front of there looking for clients and all that stuff. But inside the hotel was awesome. And one night, like one of my early nights, I'm sitting down at the bar, I'm having dinner, and I'm talking to the people that are working there. And they go, dude, you're pretty cool, and ask me where I'm from and all that stuff. And they said, we want you to come down tomorrow night. We're going to take you out. And they did. They took me out to some local bars. I got in like 4:30 in the morning. And they go, anytime you come here, we got your back. Well, that was like one of the first trips. So figure 17, 18 more trips. Every time I was there, it was like just hanging out with you guys, right? It was amazing. So that's how I fell in love with Hawaii, because I think, again, it fits. I respect their culture. Where they get upset with people that come from all over the world is people come in and they think they're kings, right? And they don't respect the culture, and they're whiners and want everything, and it's just kind of, it doesn't work that way.
Well, and they use the island as like a trash receptacle.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And that's not cool. That's when we were talking about this earlier, and I just wanted to reiterate that. My wife and I go out to Hawaii because we like the Hawaiian culture, and we want Hawaii to stay Hawaiian.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad because I just read recently that last year we hit a tipping point. There are actually now more Hawaiians living off of the islands than actually on the islands. It's gotten way too expensive for most native Hawaiians to live there, and that's sad for me. I don't like that. A
couple things, Joe. But again, overall, in a broad brush, for sure. But the couple things that the Hawaiian culture is a little bit different than what we do here on the mainland. They actually respect their older people, their elders. So when you are older, over 60 and then 65, excuse me, you get there's a lot of things that are helpful in buying houses, less taxes, things like that. You get, if you are Hawaiian, you get like first choice on some places to buy. But again, you have to have that money. And most people, like you said, unfortunately are in the service industry and are not going to make a ton of money. Right. So, but they do give you some tax breaks. They do give you some first chances to get a place over somebody that might not be native. But again, not enough to keep many Hawaiians there. And again, it's all service industry basically, right? When you think about it, because they're just handling all the tourists. And well, they're starting to grow their own beef, at least on Kauai, and they're doing a few other things, but sugar farming and all that kind of things have changed. So, yeah. I would like to see more Hawaiians there, but I wish they had better paying jobs that they could grab and work with, but
I agree. And hopefully the governor I know is working on some incentives for Native Hawaiians to make life easier and more affordable for them on the islands. And a lot of that does have to do with like, hey, we would love for you to stay, but we need you on one of the more rural islands to help with some of the things that you just mentioned, some of the farming initiatives, the husbandry initiatives that they're trying to do. And I know that they are really looking at building out ecotourism adventures on the smaller islands, or not the smaller island, the less populated islands, I should say, especially for Hilo and the Big Island, and for Kauai, because they each have such unique geography, even within the Hawaiian Islands themselves. So Kauai is going to be a great place for a lot of ecotourism. And I hopefully that will be a great way for Native Hawaiians to teach others about their culture, teach others how to be respectful of the island and its environment, and give them a way to earn a living and be able to stay on their island and pass down their traditions to their children as well. That's what I'm hoping for, because like I said, I want Hawaii to stay Hawaiian. It's why we want to go there. I don't want Hawaii to turn into Las Vegas on the islands.
Right. I agree, Joe. I love your thoughts. And I hope that they're pretty keen to that. So, you know what I mean? From the governor down. And so, we just have to figure it out as tourists, and we, again, just respect the culture, respect the people there, and enjoy the vibe. Don't be all freaked out and all wired up. Just go there and just chill and relax and make it a good place for everybody. So.
Exactly. You know what? Use that, the reef friendly sunscreen, go out, make sure that if you're hiking in the rainforest, that you're packing in and packing out. If you bring in trash, make sure just have your backpack, throw it in your backpack, bring it on out with you. There are trash receptacles all over the parking lots. Yep. So whenever Linda and I go on a hike, and we went on a great hike the last time we were in Oahu, can't remember the actual name. It was right above Pearl Harbor. You got all of the views of Pearl Harbor when you were going around. And we always bring a backpack, and we always literally fill it up with trash on our hike. Wow. And we bring it out. That's because awesome. We're like, we're going through and we want to see all of this beautiful nature. And then there's, like a soda can on the ground, or like a wrapper for a protein bar. I'm like, man, just throw it in the backpack. Just throw it in the backpack. And so I'm trying to help out, because I want to keep it beautiful for other people as well.
Well, it would start if they could do it while they live here on the mainland. So Janet and I do a lot of beach cleanup, down here in Dana Point. And as beautiful as that is, and the cool thing about the Hawaii thing, if it doesn't work, we're stuck in poor old Dana Point, right?
Bummer.
You know what I mean? But again, with that, we're not respectful to our own environments, let alone anybody else's, and that's kind of difficult to kind of fathom and swallow. And again, it becomes behavioral. If you're going to throw stuff around the beach locally here, or just throw something out your car window, I'm not expecting you're going to do any kind of cleanup in Hawaii. But again, it starts here, and people just should be more aware of that, and kind of respectful of that. And
yeah, because I just want to keep, I want to keep it for other people. Like, I'm not the only one using nature.
Right.
So let's just be respectful of people and clean up. It's not that hard to clean
so
up,
in like 15 years, when I'm finally able to afford to go there, it's clean. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Exactly.
You're welcome. I'll be the hall monitor there when you come out, Barry. I'll be the beach monitor. Yes.
All right. Well, Don James, the Radio Realtor, is here with us, and we gave you all the news of the week. So which one would you like to start out with here on the program?
Man, since we're talking about it, why? Well, I see a couple things there. Missing monkeys return to Dallas Zoo. Let's start there.
Okay.
Okay. Joe, do you want to clue him in on what happened there?
All right.
Weird story.
Briefly, the last few weeks at the Dallas Zoo, they have been finding some enclosures have been broken into, and some animals have been released. I want to say that there was a
falcon, a leopard, and
a falcon, a leopard, a vulture, I think actually the vulture died. That's sad. And a couple tamarin monkeys. They are endangered monkeys. They're the ones that have like the big mustaches. If you're a baseball fan, they're the monkeys that look like roly fingers, they have that big mustache that goes down, right? So they actually located those two tamarind monkeys in the closet of an abandoned house like 2 blocks away from the zoo. They had caught a suspect on camera, a young gentleman, I don't know, like 20s, and they don't really know why he released these. They think that he might be part of an anti-animal cruelty type of group, but they're not really sure. But they did capture that suspect, and they are questioning him on his motives. So they did get back the 2 monkeys.
Why'd you take the monkey? Why'd you take the monkey?
Why? Yeah, we just don't know. But Don, you wanted to bring up this story because you had monkeys, didn't you?
I've had monkeys, yes. At one time in Chicago, actually in Cicero at that time, we had as a family, we had a Siberian Husky, a toy poodle, a cat, a parakeet, and 2 woolly monkeys, which are second in line to chimps in intelligence. So how we got into monkeys, my mom she managed a couple of apartment buildings, and one of the apartments had 23 tenants, and one tenant had a spider monkey, and the spider monkey they're not good monkeys. But anyway, well, they probably, and who knows how the owners treated them, but we had to get that monkey out of there, which is bad for everybody, the tenants and other tenants. So we took it out and had it for a couple of days, and we said, this is going to work. So this is back before a lot of regulation and everything else, right? So we went back to a pet store and brought the monkey, and they took the monkey. And at that time, my mom sees this woolly monkey named Poncho, and he was there. They got a face, a very human face. Their hands are, they could hold water in a cup and things like that. They could do a lot of things. You could dress them up. You could do all these things. And this monkey was so docile and gentle. And so we took that monkey home. And we used to take him out in the car. Can you imagine driving around Chicago, this late 60s, early 70s, and people drive up next to you, and you got a monkey sitting in your lap like you're holding a baby or something like that, right? Oh, it was crazy. So, and we used to, because he was so docile, we took him everywhere. Well, we found out that he was sick, and we didn't know it. And like 8 months later, he died. And so
Aw.
broke my mom's heart. It was like she lost her own loved one and broke all of our hearts. He was a great monkey. And then so she goes back to the back to the pet store, and another Willie monkey reached in her purse, pulled out a pack of her cigarettes, and the next thing you know, Willie is ours.
Got any more monkeys?
Yeah, exactly. So we took him home, and he became mine. And let me tell you something: monkeys are cool and they're smart and everything else, but they're messy. And I was cleaning that cage 3 times a day. But some cool things were like, I used to be able to, like back in the day, Michigan, Ohio State was the big game of football, before
Back in the day,
I know, but back in the day, it was the game kind of. And so I remember one time I'm sitting on my bed, kind of like up against a wall, and I got a bowl of chips to my right, and Willie is laid over my right leg. And he's just looking at the TV too. And as I reach in for a chip in that bowl, his arm comes up, reaches for a chip in that bowl, and he's eating it. I'm over there. Oh God, this is so awesome. Just that kind of stuff. So we ended up, we found, you start knowing people that own monkeys. This one couple had a female woolly monkey, and she was brilliant, really smart. Like I said, she drank water out of a cup. They used to dress her up, all these parades, everything else. And she had one problem though. She had this thing where she would just shake the cage, and whatever she had in her tail, she would throw it at the cage. And so Willie picked up all those things, picked up how to drink water, how to do this, how to do that. But he also picked up how to spray
throw poop.
Yeah. Oh my
great.
God. So, but it was a 4x4x4 cage. So it was a big cage. And I spent a lot of time in there cleaning that up. But eventually things moved on, and we found a great place for both of those monkeys. But in short, they're very loving animals. They're very smart. At least the woolly monkeys were, for sure. And again, we'd have people come by our house that would, if we left the monkeys out of the cage, they'd run to the living room, right? And they'd look outside. And so people would walk by the house and they'd just stare out there like, they're waiting for something to come out. We had people come up to us say, hey, we've got a Halloween promotion. We want to do this. They had businesses. They wanted to see if we would rent our monkey out to put in their windows, back in the day and all that stuff. So that's why I grabbed that, missing monkeys. But they're pretty cool animals. I'm not familiar with the monkeys that left that zoo, but again, and nowadays you really have to get all sorts of paperwork, cut through all that stuff to bring somebody back, because they want to make sure there's no diseases or anything like that. But it was a fun part of our life.
Boy, I'll tell you, Joe.
Exotic animals, man.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, Joe. I was, I was born and bred on desert tortoises, and now I have chickens. And if it was still current day, man, if you could still have a monkey, I'd introduce you to Bert and Ernie.
Yeah, no monkeys for me. The one thing that I always wanted when I was a kid, and I blame kindergarten cop, is a ferret. But they're illegal in California because they just multiply even faster than rabbits. So I would, if I ever moved to Oregon, though, I'm definitely getting one. And I'm going to live by that school, too. It's going to be awesome. But I'm never going to live in Oregon. It's too cold and rainy.
Yeah,
I do love running in that rainforest, though. I'm going to tell you, woof, that's a good time. No, but I want to visit more rainforests in Hawaii as opposed to Oregon. But there are no monkeys on Hawaii, so that's
no, there are none.
Not that you know of.
None that we know of.
That's where Bigfoot actually lives. So,
oh boy. All right. Well, today's show is brought to you by
Wolf Tracks. Unleash the love. Do a good deed for dogs. Walking with the free Wolf Tracks app helps you to earn for your favorite animal charity. Download the Wolf Tracks app, start walking your best friend, and unleash the love for all dogs.
All right, Don James, the Radio Realtor, is with us, and we gave him the entire news of the week. Would you like to pick another story out of the hat, Don?
All right, yes. Man, I don't want to. I'll go that Tom Brady announced his retirement, though I was thinking metal detecting on the beach in case any of you guys have a way to make some more money. But we'll go.
Hey, that's the thing. I just got a metal detector in the mail, and those suckers take 9-volt batteries. So my first adventure was, finding where to buy 9-volt batteries. Nowadays, the sucker takes 3 of them. So this weekend is my first weekend. I'm going down to Point Magoo Beach. And I'm going to do some beep, beep, some boop, boop. See what we come up with there.
Share that on social media. I'd like to see. I know you will find something for sure, and something of value. I just have that. I have that feeling. It's a
diamond ring, babies. Come on with the diamond ring.
I know you want the diamond rings, but I don't think you're going to find the diamond rings. I am more interested in your magnet fishing because seriously, I think you're going to find some guns. You're going to find some guns, and you're going to solve some mysteries, and the cops are going to love you. You're going to get like the city Medal of Freedom from Camarillo because you found guns. It's going to be awesome, Barry. That's what I want.
I think that's a rite of passage. Once you find the gun, you're officially a magnet fisherman. It's either a gun or a bird scooter.
Right. What's a bird scooter?
Isn't that what they're called? One of them.
You mean the electric scooters. Bird is just one of the companies that has them. Yes. Yeah. You'll find those in the water canals as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, and Tom Brady retired. Nobody cares. You got another one, Don?
Oh.
Well, no, you got to stop. I
mean, he did this last year. Why are we recycling news again?
Well, you got a point there. But I'm a Chicago Bears fan, so I'm an unhappy football fan. We went to one Super Bowl. I did see them at the championship game when they beat the Rams in Chicago to go to the Super Bowl back in 1985, probably before both you guys were born. And
a Super Bowl since then. I went to that.
They did. Oh, the one in Miami where they lost. And Hester ran that the first kickoff back for a touchdown, but. The culture there, we just don't have a winning culture. Chicago's a very rabid sports town. Their fans are very rabid, but the owners are pretty savvy. And if they get 1 or 2 players like a Walter Payton or, they got lucky with the Bulls for the 90s. It was incredible. But for most of the teams, and it's baseball, hockey, basketball, and football, if they have a star or two and they finish 500 or even below 500 and they sell out because people are rabid fans, well, that's a good business model for them. They don't have to pay a lot of contracts, right? They'll let them stay for a while and then they'll figure out something else. But that's our culture. Our culture is not about winning and about putting the best possible product on the field. So
it was the Sterling model for the LA Clippers for like 24 years. He didn't want to win because winning meant he would have to spend more. He just wanted to be just good enough that he could just rake in billions and billions of dollars from ticket sales for people coming to watch all the other teams play the Clippers.
So very well put. You said it better than I did, Joe, but that's exactly the Chicago sports. So here, as a sports fan, I'm also somebody that I'm not a hater. And so I like watching good athletes, great athletes. I like watching good teams, great teams. I'm not necessarily, I'm not going to jump on a bandwagon and say, hey, I love the Chiefs and I love the Eagles. But I like watching really good teams play. I have no issue with that. I'd rather see a really evenly played match with some really good plays. And so that's where I come from. So I got to give it up to Brady. I mean, for the longevity, back in 2004, he told Peter King, he says, I'm going to play till I'm 45. Almost 20 years later, he did play till he was 45.
I know, it's crazy. I mean, he was drafted in 1956. Like, how did he stay around for so long? It's just crazy to me. My contention was like, I'm not saying that Tom Brady isn't a good quarterback. I am just saying that his first 3 Super Bowls with the Patriots are absolutely because of the system and not because of him. I am giving those Super Bowls to Belichick and not to Tom Brady.
What about the other 4?
Sure, he could have 4. He could have the other 4. I honestly, I don't think that Tampa Bay goes to the Super Bowl without him.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, that was the one thing. But he should have just stayed retired. He blew up his entire freaking life to play one more season of pretty mediocre football.
Yeah. Well,
and then he lost his wife because of that for one more measly season.
Hey, we don't know what really happened there.
Yeah. I think there's obviously is somebody that's been through one of those. There's usually a little bit more detail that just left out of the story. So, but still, with that being said, I think that, last year they lost to the Rams, right, in the playoff game, and they almost could have won that game. I think had they won, and he probably wanted to go out like John Elway. You go out your last 2 years Super Bowl winner and you're done, right?
Who doesn't?
Right. But I don't know. And athletes, if you've been on the top of the world and you're everywhere and everybody knows you and everything else, who knows that maybe that movie 80 for Brady, which is coming out, I think today.
It does.
That might have been in the mix last year. And maybe that was one of the reasons why too, it would be relevant if he was still playing, even if he wasn't relevant playing. Makes sense.
It's true.
So,
it's hard. When you're
Take your
top.
grandmas to that movie. Just came out. You think it's gonna?
I think it's going to do well. I think it's going to do well. Mostly,
it's Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda. It's going to do great.
Okay.
I mean, come on. There's some good people.
What's
in it.
the plot? They're going to a football game. And
it's a real story. Barry, it's a real story. It's a real story.
Oh, okay, all right.
So it'll be good. They got Gronk and they got all that other stuff. It'll be. I'm sure it'll be well taken, well received. It won't get a bunch of rotten tomatoes or anything like that. I think it'll do well.
I'm just thinking, like, who is a sports personality who was at the top of their game and then retired at the top? Like, did Peyton Manning retired after his Super Bowl win, right? With the
but you know what? He was on the downside the last 2-3 years. Sure. He benefited by that Denver win
from the system.
Yeah, their system and the defense for sure, because he threw some wounded ducks. Yeah. Brady's thrown some wounded ducks this year, but there's also passes I've seen him throw. Man, he looks like he's Justin Herbert. He's still got some life in that arm. So a little bit different, but again, I just wanted to acknowledge his retirement. I'm not a hater. I respect what he's done, and granted, he's had some good teammates, but he also took less money so they could be cap friendly to other players on the team.
He took less money so he could get Gronk. That was the and Tom Brady, he did go down to a new team and he did win a Super Bowl with that team.
First year.
He didn't Joe Montana like Joe Montana went from Super Bowl winning 49ers to the Chiefs. Didn't really do much. He got into the playoffs 1 out of 3 years, I think. So.
They lost 17-0 to the Chargers on a rainy day. I was at that game.
Yeah, see? So I don't know. There's not a lot of people that get to go out on top.
Right.
And I think that does have to do with ego. Like you were saying,
sure.
I'm the greatest. I'm still the greatest. I'm 57 years old and I'm still going to be playing. The only person that was able to pull that off, Julio Franco with baseball with the Atlanta Braves. It's the only person that is able to play into his 50s and be successful at it. So what are you going to do?
Yeah. What are you going to do?
But, I guess we'll keep an eyeball on that whole thing there. I think he's going to come back.
You think he's going to come back one more time? There's probably about a 2% chance, but I don't think so. I think that'll ruin his credibility altogether. That's too bad. I think he should have just shut up, and then maybe the way the 49ers are going, he could have played for the 49ers next year. Everybody's injured.
Yeah, everybody's saying that.
But he can make $1 billion being a coach now, right? Or a
no, Tom Brady is crazy. No, he is not going to make
$380 million for 10 years as an announcer.
Nope, he's not going to do that either. You know what he's going to do? He's going to get into politics.
Get out of town.
I will put money on it. I'll put money on it. He'll get into politics. He'll be a Republican, and he will win because of his name recognition. I'll put money on that.
Well, we named our dog after him.
I know. Well, he's gonna. You know what? Tom Brady's gonna move to Florida. He's gonna find a nice conservative Republican district like the Villages, and he's gonna win year after year after year. So that's what we got to look forward to.
You can't get rings as president, though.
No,
I don't think.
Yeah, you're just the leader of the free world. That's no Super Bowl rings. Just the
only
leader
for
of
4 years, man. You know,
Joe, if you guys invite me back on, we'll revisit that. I don't think he's going to go into politics, but if he does, I will definitely acknowledge that you calling that shot way early. He seems to be a kind of a guy that likes to be restrained and likes his privacy and all that stuff. Think about it, guys. He's been playing for 24, 25 years. We didn't know anything about him personally till this last year and a half.
And that's why he's going to get into politics.
Everything opens up. Everything opens up in your politics.
But the thing is, like, I think he's got enough goodwill with football fans, and I don't think that there's going to be any like horrible skeletons in Tom Brady's closet. We would have already figured it out. Someone would have already like dumped that stuff. It would have been a huge story. So I think that he's pretty safe as a political candidate. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Okay, we'll see what happens.
I think he might take the money from NBC Sport. Is it NBC that wants to pay him all that money?
Fox wants to pay him $370 something, and somebody else said $385. So there's another.
So I think he goes to Fox for a couple years, and then he is horribly bored by it. I think he's going to be bored by it. I don't think that him being a commentator is going to work. He is not the personality to be a head coach. Just like Kobe Bryant was never ever going to be a coach. He was just like he's not that type of personality. Right. You know, so I don't think that we'll have to see. That this is just I'm calling this Brady in politics.
Nostra Jonas,
so we'll
right
see.
there.
Nostra Jonas. There you go. All right. Well, good on that. And then I guess finally, for a final topic.
Yes.
Since I am the radio realtor, actually the ambidextrous radio realtor.
Ooh.
How many jobs do you need to pay rent in LA? And
Joe, do you remember the exact stat? I do. It's I think it's 109 hours and 2.7 jobs in Los Angeles is what you need. And the easiest place to live is, where do you think, Don? In California. Where's the easiest place? The least amount of jobs that you need in order to survive. Where is it in California? How many jobs do you need in the easiest part of California? Can you guess?
The most affordable place to live for on a minimum wage.
On a minimum wage in California?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, it's got to be remote, right?
Well, not minimum wage. It's one full-time job in order to buy a house and live under or at the median.
Baker, Lone Pine. I don't know. I don't know.
Joe, do you remember?
It wasn't. It was Los Angeles.
No, it was Fresno, wasn't it?
Oh, was it Fresno? No, Fresno was one of the higher places to live, wasn't it? Oh, no.
No. Fresno was the easiest one. You only need like one full-time job in Fresno, 1.5.
Oh, okay.
I could see that. You know, I did, Barry, I did some voiceovers for Clovis for some new homes back a few years back. Yeah. And that's just south of Fresno. That's kind of like the upscale community. I could see that for larger cities, you know. It's such a huge state, right? And there's so many big cities, and there's medium-sized cities you don't even think about, right? Like Stockton, things like that. What a hole. But
it was just like the rural places were the hardest because there aren't any services there. So it was it took like 4.3, minimum full-time minimum wage jobs to make it, because housing's still expensive places.
It still is. And so, I don't think I'll retire here. I think I'll work till the day I die, kind of, I mean, it's crazy, right? It's you got to work. But the reason why I picked that subject is, as a real estate agent here in Orange County, primarily, but also in Hawaii and also in Lake Palm Springs, a lot of people are wanting to rent right now. And first of all, both in housing, sales and rentals, things are pulling back a little bit, which is good to see. And nothing as crazy as it was the last year and a half, 2 years. And with that being said, if you take the last 40 years of interest rates on average, we're still less than what we were as a 40-year average. So a lot of people have short-term memories, and they just think everything's going to be 1 or 2%. That's never going to happen again. I don't know. It was basically fueled by COVID because everybody's freaking out that we were thinking the world was going to stop. And then it just got crazy. And that's when I spent most of my time on the phones, and people were getting 15, 20, 30 offers. We had a buyer we worked with that moved down from Palo Alto. We looked at 28 homes for her. We videotaped, we did all the walkthroughs. She was paying $6,500 a month. This was a year and a half ago. And we told her, we said, look, don't buy now. You know, she had she worked at Facebook. She was part of the metaverse, the original. And she also works at South Park. So she's got game. And she said, well, I want to buy. If I'm going to move down and start this job in Irvine, I want to buy. And we're over there. You know, you're paying $6,500 now. We can get you a nice ocean view rental for a year, $5,500, Laguna Niguel or Dana Point, and just wait till the, you know, property values come back. No, got to own. So she bought we put in 28 offers. All of them were not accepted because, and some of those offers were anywhere from $60,000 to $100,000 over asking price with an appraisal waiver because they were just saying that, just cash and all that. So she got beat out of all these different offers, and then the
saved her, didn't it?
No, it didn't. Because the 23rd agent, the 23rd house we looked at called us up and said, our buyer fell through. Is your buyer still interested? She was all over the place. She said, yeah. And so she paid $65,000 over asking price, waived the appraisal contingency, and gave the seller 2 months free rent. And that's how things were so crazy. You know, she's got the house. We were there 4th of July weekend, and I still think it was an overbuy, but she's happy. You know, her husband and her son are there, and it's not a long ride to Irvine and everything else. But again, I think she probably would have had much better options had she been able to rent another year. It wasn't from lack of money that she couldn't, but she could have waited that out. A lot of people couldn't. They went and bought. And so now we're starting to get back to pre-COVID conditions. Things are becoming a little bit more normalized. Market, like I said, I see the prices go down on sales and rentals now. But I would also tell people, news cycles. It's all about doom and gloom, right? We can't afford it, right? And so everybody's afraid to buy. But if you find yourself a good lender, a mortgage broker, man, there are so many programs out there that are good news. And again, not good seller, but they're good news. And if you talk to somebody, you get it with a 3-2-1 buy down, where instead of paying 6.1%, you can go in 3.1 your first year, then 4.1, 5.1, then 6.1. And maybe at that time you could refinance. So instead of paying $3,800 a month rent, which we see a lot around here in Dana Point, and all that going to the landlord, you could probably begin in somewhere around there and start earning some equity, because prices will continue to go up in Southern California, in most markets here, because again, it's still a desirable place to live with all its craziness, right?
Yeah, I just the one thing that really hit me with red flags is that this one buyer waived the walkthrough, waived
the appraisal. Oh, so here's and nice. Thanks for bringing it up.
That scares me, because then it's like, you hear horror stories of like, oh yeah, we waived that, and then we found out that the foundation has a crack in it.
Well,
or something like that.
Yeah, no, well, get this. So she ended up buying like a 1952 1,200 square foot home, 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, and a 1 bath that was kind of like a laundry room, but not finished. And a little pool on a 6,000 square foot lot. So not big a lot either. Right off the 57 freeway. You could hear the traffic, you'd hear everything. And again, if they want to buy it, they want to buy it, right? So she waived the appraisal contingency. And so when they were going to fix the bathroom / laundry room, they brought in contractors, and it was just totally infested with termites. So what they thought was just going to be a light little remodel, it's going to be a full-blown kind of construction project. And so going on to what you just said, Joe, a lot of that's happened, I'm sure, but again, it's kind of back to normal. There's still multiple offers on some homes, but not as crazy as it was. And there's still one other thing that people need to realize. A lot of cash buyers didn't get the property they wanted last year, and they're still cash buyers. So they don't care if the rates go up to 10, 15%. They could wait it out. The sellers are going to bring their prices down. down, and there are people sitting on the sidelines waiting for that too, and they'll still be able to purchase with cash. But those that will really want to buy, again, find a great lender, talk to them. It costs nothing to do that. See what programs are out there, but there's some pretty good programs out there that will let people buy. And as the price continues to kind of recede in most areas, except along the coast, you'll be able to get into something that you'll be happy with, and you could start earning equity on, and you could take pride in ownership. But these things cycle out all the time, right? Real estate's been going on forever. And remember in 2008, the world's crashing, it's going to die. So you just got to trust in the cycling, and you got to trust that things will normalize. We do have things in place that kind of help make that happen. So anyway.
My advice is, like, you don't go grocery shopping when you're hungry. Don't buy a house when you're desperate.
Right.
Wait and be strategic. It's the biggest purchase you're ever going to make in your life.
Right. And it's going to be the biggest asset you're ever going to own. Ever going to own. So, yeah.
And, speaking of that, before we go here, Don James, the Radio Realtor's on with us today. And before we go here, tell us about Palm Springs. Now, I know that Disney bought a big old portion of somewhere near Palm Springs.
Yes, they did. So they did.
I went and visited, and it's a different Palm Springs than it used to be. So, and
it sure is.
Tell us what's going down there.
Well, first of all, a lot of good things. First of all, a lot of people from LA and Orange County, especially Orange County, live out in the Springs and Indio and all that. That is so much more developed than when I first moved out to California. I hated the desert, but now it's sprawling. It's lush. You've got everything you have here, except the beach, right? And the cool weather. We've got a closing. We got to be out there next week, Friday. A guy owned a property here in Orange County. He was part of the Dana Point Yacht Club. Sold his house, moved to Florida, got a great buy in Fort Myers for like $400,000. Beautiful home right on the water. Survived Hurricane Ian this past year. Unfortunately, his wife died, and they were just before that, they were looking to move back here. Well, what they couldn't do was they couldn't move back here initially because they lost all this value. They had all this value here in California. They bought less, and the prices in Florida didn't rise until lately. He was able to sell at $825,000. So he's moving back out here, but he can't own in Orange County. So where's he moving? He's moving out to Palm Springs, and he got a beautiful home, and it'll be great. And he'll just have to take the 2-hour drive here to meet his buddies at the Dana Point Yacht Club. But again, that just shows the difference in, if you're going to if you leave California, you're leaving for good. Chances are you're not going to be able to buy back in. So you got to do that. So now going out to Palm Springs, we've been going out there a lot recently. And again, we got the closing, pretty excited, but we were at 3 weeks ago, we were at Tommy Bahamas in Bermuda.
Dunes. I'm sorry.
We were there. No, we were just hanging out, and the bar. There were 11 people in this one corner, including the 4 of us, so 7 others, and they were all from Orange County, either moved out there or thinking about moving out there. So, and then to your point, Barry, about the Disney thing, right? Well, my next door neighbor here in Dana Point, his dad's firm got the contract. So it's
very interesting.
Yes.
Back and forth. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to see it in my lifetime, but we'll see if it gets passed. There's a lot of money going back and forth right now.
Well, so as I understand it, and maybe I'm wrong, but as I understand it, it's not going to be a theme park. They're going to do commercial and residential and build out this whole complex. But you know how rabid Disney fans are. We have, in fact, Janet rented out. We do property management too. So right across the street from us are a couple that are paying the $3,800, $3,900 a month, but they're rabid Disney fans. So they go to Disney World 2 or 3 times a year, and they go to Disneyland about 3 times a week. So, and there's hundreds and thousands of those fans out everywhere. And I'm telling you, if it is just residential and commercial, even without a theme park, can you imagine living on Donald Duck Drive or Mickey Mouse Lane or something like that? If you could,
yeah, this is
how many people are going to buy that property. Yeah. Oh my God.
From my understanding, it's not. They're making basically essentially what's a golf club. So they're taking like the Marriott Shadow Ridge kind of model, and they're going to make what is essentially timeshares or vacation clubs.
Okay. Well, and you know that it's going to have that added brand value. And so they'll be able to get prime rates, and people will pay for it dearly.
Disney adults are gonna go nuts over this stuff.
Exactly. But I still think that they're gonna put little things like that in there. I think it'd be kitschy, but it'd be
sure.
probably
absolutely.
Drive, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's also totally. But the growth in Palm Springs isn't just that valley.
No,
you know, they're building up in Alpine Village and Pinyon Pines. They're building up in Kahula Hills. You're going all the way down to the Salton Sea.
Yep.
You know, you're going from Palm Springs. It's all the way down. It's like you're getting down. I mean, even something like Desert Shores is blowing up now.
How about that, right? So, I mean, it's if you're, you know, as realtors, you obviously have to look for growth. So like in Orange County, 1 out of every 10 adults has a real estate license.
Wow.
Talk about competitive, right? And so how do you sell? I mean, well, now granted, I'd say probably, you know, there's a good portion. Many are housewives that have the real estate license. They have a lot of friends. They might sell 2 or 3 homes a year. And that's a pretty significant amount of money here in Southern California, but they still manage their families and things like that. It's more of so that's where a lot of those, you know, 1 in 10, but out in the desert and all that community around there that you just mentioned, Joe, there's still, like I said, there's still opportunity, and a lot of people are afraid to move out there because they're going to melt in the middle of July.
No, Palm Springs. I love Palm Springs. I love Joshua Tree.
Oh yes.
Let's not forget about Yucca Valley and 29 Palms, and like that whole
areas.
northern area is just getting developed as well. So
yep.
We're going to see a lot of stuff like that.
So.
Well, Don, this has been super fun. We're going to have you back, man, because, you know, the world turns and you're very knowledgeable in it. So if somebody is buying a home, here's the plug. How do we reach you there?
Nice.
Are you taking new clients and stuff? What's the deal going down?
Would love that. You can call me directly. I'll give you my phone number, 949-939-7794. I'm a real estate agent at Real Brokerage, REAL, the fastest growing publicly traded real estate brokerage. We just passed 9,000 agents early today. And I'm part of the DePerry Shab team. That would include my wife, Janet DePerry. And we service basically, again, Orange County, the desert, Kauai, but in Orange County, primarily, I'd say the El Toro Y South. And but we can help anybody out, buyer, seller, whatever. Janet's been in the industry a long time. Like I said, I've got a little bit of industry experience in face-to-face, but a lot of online experience. And I really think that that's kind of helps us help our clients get the most exposure for what they need and all that. So we work well together. So pretty excited by that. And then what else? We have Facebook pages, Instagram pages. Just look up the DePerry Shab team, and you'll find us that way.
Love it. And then you also do the Laguna Lounge, which that's where I want to meet up with you there, is that Laguna Beach Drive or whatever it is.
So guess what, Barry? You might like this. So Alyssa got back to me the other day. There's going to be a Love Line show after my show. So I'm on Sunday nights from 9 to 10 live. I go to about 10:15 or something like that. It's all my music, kind of in that vibe of the Morning Breeze and Late Night Lounge, Laguna Lounge. Like I said, I wish Mookie would give me just 1 or 2 hours on a Saturday or Sunday morning. I'd be bringing value to the station for sure.
It'll happen.
Okay. But in the meantime, this is a really cool show. It's about 15 minute drive from my house. It's an old school studio, as you know, kind of, right? And it's just a blast. I love doing all the stuff that I do at 88.5, the SoCal Sound, but I kind of like the live component in there as well. And the fact, more importantly, that I curate my own music. So I really take great focus on making sure the entire mix works, just works. So it's cool. Thanks for asking about that.
I love it. Don James, thanks for being on the program. We will definitely have you back for another deep dive at the end of the week. Thanks for reading the news with us, man.
Gentlemen, I enjoyed it so much. Thanks so much for reaching out. I'm looking forward to the time we could do this again. Just want to wish you all both a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk soon. Cheers.
Thanks, Don.